Far beyond the bright swirl of familiar stars and the deep shadows of unexplored space, the galaxy had long forgotten humans, or at least that was what most civilizations believed. For generations, humans were called myths, ghosts of a once mighty species that had disappeared centuries ago. Alien scholars debated whether humans had ever existed at all. They were stories told in cautionary tales, a warning to young explorers about the unpredictability of life in the universe. On a rocky, wind-beaten planet at the edge of the Calrec sector, a young alien scout named Virok crouched among jagged cliffs. His skin shimmered with faint green bioluminescence and his eyes, dark and sharp, scanned the horizon. Virok had been sent to survey this forgotten world, supposedly barren and useless. But rumors reached him through ancient records. Evidence of humans had been discovered here long ago. Before humans vanished. "This place is dead," Virok muttered to himself, his voice trembling slightly with excitement. He took careful steps over cracked stone, mindful of the brittle ground beneath him. Signs of long-abandoned settlements dotted the terrain. Rusted metal structures, once shiny with unknown alloys, now lay broken and half-buried in the dirt. Strange symbols, etched into rock faces, hinted at knowledge that no other species seemed to possess. Virok's sensors detected faint energy traces, almost imperceptible, like whispers of the past. The readings suggested human technology, tools and machines unlike anything contemporary aliens used. They were crude in appearance, yet surprisingly effective. It was as if the humans had built devices not for show, but for survival and efficiency. He knelt near a broken piece of machinery and traced his clawed fingers along the smooth edges. If humans are here, or were here, they were clever beyond imagination, he whispered. His heart raced with a mixture of awe and fear. The legends were true. Meanwhile, in a hidden pocket of space far from prying eyes, humans lived quietly, preparing for a day that they themselves had predicted for centuries. The colony was small, built on a planet shielded from alien scans. Its cities were modest but functional, designed with a clear focus on survival and efficiency. Humans trained daily in both mental and physical disciplines, their bodies lean and strong, their minds sharp and resourceful. Elder Joran, the colony's leader, watched a group of teenagers practice tactical simulations in the courtyard. "Remember," he said, his voice calm but firm, "the galaxy does not know us yet. When it sees us, we must be ready. Humanity has always been underestimated. That is our greatest advantage." One young boy, Kieran, moved with remarkable speed and precision. Though only 15, he had the instincts of a veteran strategist. He studied each movement, anticipating his opponent's decisions, adjusting instantly to changing circumstances. He paused to wipe sweat from his brow, eyes shining with determination. "One day I will show them why humans were never weak," he muttered to himself. Joran nodded approvingly. "Good. Never forget, Kieran, that our strength is not just in numbers or weapons. It is in our mind, our courage, and our ability to adapt. That is what makes us human." Back on the Calrec sector planet, Virok moved deeper into the ruins. He discovered a half-buried starship, its hull cracked but strangely intact. Alien engineers would have dismissed it as primitive, but Virok sensed something different. He ran his fingers along the controls and noticed their clever simplicity. A single lever could perform multiple functions. A small screen could project maps across vast distances. These were designs made for survival, not luxury. Virok's pulse quickened. Could these humans still be alive somewhere? Or had they hidden themselves so well that even the most advanced alien civilizations could not find them? He knew one thing. If they were gone, the galaxy had lost something extraordinary. If they were alive, it would change everything. Virok returned to his ship to report the discovery. His voice trembled slightly as he transmitted his findings to the Central Command. "Command, I have found evidence of humans. They are not extinct. Their technology is unlike anything we have cataloged. This planet, it holds secrets." The response was skeptical. "Humans? That species was last seen over 4 centuries ago. Most records indicate they vanished long ago. Are you certain of your readings?" Virok transmitted the data he had gathered, showing the designs, energy signatures, and strange symbols. There was no denying the evidence. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the alien council. They had always assumed humans were weak, small, and irrelevant. The possibility that humans could survive, hidden and prepared, unsettled even the most confident leaders. In the hidden human colony, life continued as usual. Farmers tended to vertical gardens, engineers repaired old starships, and teachers trained children in the history of Earth and the galaxy. Humans lived in harmony with their surroundings, blending technology and nature, always cautious but never fearful. One evening, Kieran sat by a small observation deck, staring at the stars. The sky was alive with the glow of distant planets and wandering comets. "They think we are gone," he said softly, almost to himself. "They think we are nothing." "They are wrong." His friend Lyra joined him. "Do you really believe we can rise again? After so many centuries hidden?" she asked, her voice gentle but curious. Kieran smiled faintly. "Not just rise, Lyra. We will remind them why humanity was once feared across the galaxy, and why we should never be forgotten." Back on the Calrex sector planet, Virok carefully examined a ruined building. Inside, he discovered remnants of human writings, etched into metal plates. They described battles, strategies, and philosophies that no other species had mastered. One line caught his attention. "Survival is not about strength alone. It is about the mind, the heart, and the courage to stand when all others fall." Virok felt a shiver run down his spine. These humans, they were more than legends. They were warriors, thinkers, and survivors. If any species could return to reclaim their place in the galaxy, it was them. As night fell over the desolate planet, Virok set up a small camp. He could hear the distant winds howl through the cliffs, carrying with them the echoes of a long-lost civilization. For the first time, he felt a mix of fear and admiration. Humans were not just a story. They were a force that might one day rise again. In the human colony, Kieran and Lyra gazed at the stars late into the night. A sense of destiny filled the air, invisible but undeniable. Somewhere out there, scouts like Virok might already be observing them, unaware of what they were about to witness. The galaxy believed humans were forgotten, but humans had never forgotten themselves, and soon that quiet preparation, that careful training, and that unyielding spirit would ignite into a force that no alien civilization could ignore. And somewhere in the darkness of space, a young alien scout unknowingly stumbled closer to discovering what had long been hidden. The first spark of recognition was lighting a fire that would spread faster than anyone imagined. Humans were no longer just myths. They were waiting, watching, and preparing. And when the time came, they would rage back into the galaxy with a force that legends alone could not describe. The whispers of forgotten humans were about to become the roar of a species reborn. The distant human colony had grown in secrecy for centuries, hidden behind cloaking fields and scattered among small planets far from alien trade routes. Life was quiet, but the humans' training never stopped. Every child learned survival skills, strategy, and the importance of courage. Every adult understood the weight of responsibility that came with knowing the galaxy thought them extinct. It began with a small disturbance. A scouting ship from the dominant alien faction, the Clyran, had drifted too close to human-controlled space. The Clyran believed they would find nothing, only barren planets and empty skies. They were confident, their arrogance born of centuries of unchallenged domination. Commander Veyral, a seasoned Clyran officer, smiled as he adjusted his controls aboard the flagship Dread Comet. "There is nothing here. These humans are gone. Do not waste resources on legends," she ordered. Her crew followed blindly, confident that the myths of humanity were long past. Below, on the human colony's outer perimeter, sensors flickered. The alarms were soft but urgent. A small alien craft had entered the monitored zone. Kieran, now older by a few years and trained as a scout, was among those monitoring the skies. He leaned forward, scanning the readings. "They're small, but advanced," Kieran said, voice tense. "They're trying to hide, but their shields aren't perfect. We can see them." Elder Duran entered the control room, calm as ever. "How many?" he asked. "Just one ship." "For now," Kieran replied. "But they're Clyran. They could call reinforcements." Duran nodded thoughtfully. "Then we do what humans have always done. We prepare, we adapt, and we strike with precision." Within the hour, the humans had deployed a clever series of traps and defenses around the perimeter. Minefields were set, automated turrets positioned, and communication signals masked. But they did not wait passively. Kieran led a small team of scouts and small skimmers, ready to test the alien ship's defenses and gather intelligence. As the Clyran ship approached, it fired its first volley, expecting an easy strike. The humans responded. not with equal firepower but with cunning. Mines detonated in unexpected sequences, skimmers darted through blind spots, and alien sensors were confused by carefully timed energy pulses. The Clyran crew was stunned. Shields, adapting too fast, one officer shouted. How is this possible? Kieran's team moved swiftly, exploiting weaknesses in the alien technology. They were fast, coordinated, and fearless. They struck, retreated, and struck again, leaving the Clyran crew bewildered and frustrated. This was not the work of a weak or extinct species. This was a force of skill, intelligence, and daring bravery. Meanwhile, Elder Duran observed from the command deck. They see humans as legends, he said softly. Let them see what legends are capable of. The skirmish lasted only hours, but by the end, the Clyran ship had suffered serious damage. It retreated, sending an urgent distress signal to their fleet. Their pride was wounded, and their belief that humans were long gone began to crumble. As the alien ship limped away, the humans gathered quietly to assess their success. Kieran looked at the team and smiled. They think we are gone. They were wrong, he said. The others nodded, a quiet pride in their eyes. Word of the encounter spread quickly through the Clyran network. Alien commanders convened in panic. How could a supposedly extinct species not only survive but outsmart their best scouts? Some dismissed it as luck or exaggeration, but others began to whisper fearfully, perhaps humans were still a threat. On the human side, the victory was celebrated, but no one grew arrogant. They knew the galaxy would not remain blind for long. Humans began to prepare for the next steps. Engineers worked to improve skimmers, enhance defenses, and refine strategies. Children and teens trained harder, learning how to think like their enemies while staying true to human instincts of adaptability and courage. Days later, another alien fleet approached, larger and better armed. This time the humans were ready. The first fleet of Clyran ships advanced confidently, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they were met with a carefully planned ambush. Humans had studied the alien tactics, learned their weaknesses, and adapted technologies to counter them. The skirmishes were chaotic. Energy pulses lit up the sky, ships darted like lightning, and explosions shook distant moons. The humans did not rely on sheer firepower. They relied on strategy, speed, and intelligence. Alien commanders were baffled. Every move they made seemed anticipated, and every advantage they thought they had was turned against them. In one daring maneuver, Kieran piloted a skimmer straight into the midst of a Clyran formation, drawing attention while hidden teams disabled key systems. His actions were precise, daring, and entirely human. The Clyran ships faltered, leaving gaps for the humans to exploit. On the flagship, Commander Veyral clenched her claws in frustration. How is this species still capable of such coordination? They should not exist. They should not be here. Elder Duran, observing from the human command center, watched with quiet satisfaction. They do not understand. Humanity was never gone. We were waiting for the right moment. And now the galaxy will remember us, not as legends, but as a force to be reckoned with. By the end of the battle, the alien fleet was forced to retreat. The humans had not only defended their territory, but had proven their intelligence, skill, and ingenuity. Across the hidden colonies, people celebrated, but they did not rest. Every human knew that this was only the beginning. Kieran and Lyra stood atop a cliff overlooking the battlefield, exhausted but exhilarated. They thought we were myths, Lyra said softly. And now they know we are real. Kieran nodded. Yes, and this is just the first spark. Soon the entire galaxy will see what humans are capable of. They may have forgotten us, but we never forgot ourselves. The Clyran, humbled and shaken, would carry tales of human cunning back to their homeworld. Whispers of fear and curiosity would spread across alien councils and trading networks. Every species that had doubted humanity would soon question their assumptions. And in the quiet of the human colony, the elders spoke to the young. Remember this day, Elder Duran said, addressing a gathering of teenagers. Today, humans reminded the galaxy of who we are, but never forget, our greatest strength is not in our weapons or even in our speed. It is in our minds, our hearts, and our will to survive. When the time comes, we will not only defend ourselves, we will reclaim our place among the stars. The stars above shimmered, quiet witnesses to a species long thought lost. Humans had begun to rise, and the first sparks of rebellion against the assumptions of the galaxy had ignited. The legends of old were no longer just stories. They were living, breathing reality, ready to take their place in the cosmos once more. Far beyond the battles and whispers, other civilizations watched, curious and cautious. The galaxy had assumed humans were extinct, harmless, and forgotten. Now that assumption would be challenged in ways no one could predict. And in hidden corners of human colonies, young scouts trained, engineers worked, and strategists planned. The first spark had been lit, and it would soon blaze into a storm that would shake the galaxy to its core. Humanity had returned, not as myths, but as legends reborn. The galaxy had begun to whisper of humans once more, though most could not believe it. Reports from scouts like Virok painted a startling picture. Humans were alive, organized, and capable of feats that rivaled entire fleets. Some dismissed it as exaggeration or propaganda, but others could not ignore the evidence. The humans were no longer a forgotten story. They were a rising force, and they were already striking with precision. On the human colony, Kieran stood in the central command hall, studying a holographic map of nearby star systems. His team had been tracking alien movements for weeks, learning their patrol routes, fleet formations, and communication patterns. Each day brought new reports of alien supply lines, remote stations, and minor colonies vulnerable to disruption. They are spread thin, Kieran noted, pointing to the map. We can hit them where they don't expect it. Quick strikes, minimal risk, will disrupt their supply routes and slow their reinforcements. The galaxy won't know what hit them. Elder Duran, standing beside him, nodded. Remember, Kieran, it is not enough to strike and retreat. Every action we take teaches us more, strengthens us. Adaptability is our advantage. The aliens expect one kind of war. We will show them another. The first major strike was planned against an isolated alien mining station orbiting a barren moon. Humans moved in skimmers and small ships using stealth fields to avoid detection. Kieran led the mission, his instincts honed by years of tactical training and countless simulations. The alien miners had no reason to suspect danger. Their equipment hummed steadily as they harvested rare elements critical for fleet construction. Suddenly alarms blared. Small human craft darted between structures, deploying energy disruptors that shut down power grids. The aliens were confused. Their communication signals were jammed, their defenses neutralized before they could react. Human soldiers, nimble and precise, disabled weapons and sensors with minimal confrontation. In less than an hour, the station was under human control, not destroyed but repurposed. Supplies, ships, and information were carefully secured. Kieran observed the operation from a command skimmer above the station. They think we are myths, he said, voice steady with determination. And yet here we are, taking what they thought was theirs. The victory was small but symbolic. Messages from the operation spread quickly through alien networks. Rumors of the humans' efficiency, courage, and unexpected strategy sparked unease. The Clyran, who once dismissed humans as extinct, now debated the possibility of a serious threat. Meanwhile, humans did not pause. They moved quickly from target to target, always adapting, always learning. Each engagement taught them more about alien technology. Each skirmish honed their coordination. Young scouts and seasoned warriors alike contributed. Children who once trained in simulations now observed real battles, understanding strategy, observation, and timing. Kieran and Lyra piloted a small reconnaissance skimmer on another mission. The alien patrols had grown wary, adjusting tactics to avoid human attacks, but the humans anticipated these changes. They studied alien routines, noticed patterns, and used them to their advantage. This is becoming fun, Lyra said quietly, eyes focused on the controls. They try to hide, but we always see them first. Kieran smiled faintly. Fun? Maybe, but don't forget, we are changing the galaxy. Every move we make, every victory, they will remember. Every alien commander will question the stories they believed about us. The humans' influence began to spread faster than any individual mission. Some alien colonies, once confident in their security, found themselves surprised by human strikes on supply depots, communication hubs, and small fleets. The humans did not aim to destroy indiscriminately. They aimed to disrupt, to demonstrate skill, to remind the galaxy that humans were not weak. On the Clyran homeworld, Commander Veyral convened a council in crisis. Holograms displayed reports of human strikes, showing how quickly humans adapted to alien defenses. Every previous assumption was being challenged. "They are unpredictable," a Clyran officer said, voice tight with concern. "We prepared for scouts, but they are learning. They are faster than our simulations predicted." Faeral's claws tightened. Humans are supposed to be extinct. And yet they move with intelligence, coordination, and fearlessness. This is dangerous, but for humans, every challenge was an opportunity. Each alien attack that failed against them strengthened their confidence. Every fleet they observed, every patrol they evaded, every victory they achieved reminded them why they had survived hidden for centuries. Humans learned not just to survive, they learned to thrive. One night, Kieran stood on a high platform overlooking the colony. Ships glided silently through orbit, some returning from missions, others preparing to depart. He reflected on how far they had come. "They thought we were gone," he said to Lyra, standing beside him. "But we are not gone. We are rising. And when the galaxy finally sees us, it will be too late for them to forget." Lyra nodded, her gaze steady. "Every victory we take, every plan we execute is another reminder. Humans are not just survivors. We are something they underestimated for centuries. As human influence expanded, alien factions began to react in unpredictable ways. Some underestimated humans still, sending small fleets to test defenses only to be repelled or captured. Others hesitated, unsure whether to attack or negotiate. The legend of humans, once thought a mere story, was growing in power and complexity. Kieran and his team embarked on another mission, this time to intercept a Clyran supply convoy traveling through an unpatrolled sector. The humans' approach was subtle but precise. Skimmers and ships moved in perfect coordination, avoiding sensors and taking advantage of minor gaps in formation. The convoy believed it would be an easy passage, but humans had studied their schedules, routes, and defensive routines. They struck quickly, disabling engines, cutting communication lines, and disabling weapons. The aliens fought, of course, but each move they made was anticipated. Humans used their smaller numbers as an advantage, striking where aliens expected weakness. By the end of the operation, the convoy was captured intact. Supplies, intelligence, and ships were brought back to human space. The victory was celebrated, but Kieran reminded everyone of the larger purpose. "This is not about glory," he said. "It is about proving that humans are still here, and showing that we will not be underestimated again." News of these victories traveled quickly. Alien civilizations, once dismissive, began to adjust. Fleets were reorganized, patrols intensified, and strategies revised. But humans were already one step ahead. They adapted faster than any alien species had anticipated, using their intelligence, courage, and ingenuity to remain unpredictable. On a distant observation post, Vyrok recorded these developments with a mix of awe and fear. "They are not just alive," he reported to his command. "They are learning faster than any species we know. The legends, the myths were true. Humanity is rising again." Back at the colony, Elder Duran addressed a group of young trainees. "Remember this," he said firmly. "Every alien who underestimates us is already lost. Every victory we win teaches us, strengthens us, and reminds the galaxy that humans are not to be ignored. Adapt, think, and act. That is the essence of being human." Kieran watched as the young trainees absorbed his words. He thought about the battles ahead, the challenges they would face, and the long road to reclaiming humanity's place among the stars. But he also knew one thing: humans were ready. They had survived, adapted, and thrived in the shadows for centuries. Now the galaxy would finally see their fury, their intelligence, and their indomitable spirit. As the stars stretched infinitely above, human ships glided through orbit, silent witnesses to a species awakening after centuries of hiding. The first sparks of rebellion against alien assumptions had ignited, and the fires of human ingenuity, courage, and skill burned brighter than ever. And somewhere far away, alien civilizations began to whisper nervously, for they had underestimated the humans once. They would not make that mistake again. Humans were no longer myths, no longer stories whispered in caution. They were a rising force, and the galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humanity could not be forgotten, and humanity could not be stopped. The first sparks had ignited into flames, and the rising fury of humanity was only beginning. The galaxy held its breath. The humans, once thought extinct, had risen from the shadows, their presence undeniable. Now, they faced their greatest challenge, a massive alien fleet sent to crush them once and for all. Every major alien civilization that had underestimated humanity had united, determined to end what they considered a dangerous anomaly. They believed their overwhelming numbers and advanced technology would finally erase humans from the stars, but humans were ready. For centuries, they had trained, prepared, and observed. They had learned patience, cunning, and adaptability. The humans were not just defending their colonies, they were demonstrating the power of a species that had survived the impossible. Kieran stood on the bridge of the command ship Resolute, his eyes scanning the holographic projection of the approaching fleet. Thousands of alien vessels moved like a living storm, bristling with weapons and shields. Beside him, Elder Duran remained calm, hands folded behind his back. "They think they can overwhelm us," Duran said softly. "They do not understand who we are." "Then we'll remind them," Kieran replied, voice firm. "This is what humans do best. We adapt, we strike, and we survive." The humans' plan was not to confront the fleet head-on. Instead, they used every advantage they had: intelligence, maneuverability, and unconventional strategies. Small skimmer teams darted through gaps in alien formations, disabling key systems, confusing sensors, and forcing the enemy into chaos. Human engineers had modified older ships, creating devices that could temporarily disable alien shields or redirect energy weapons. The first wave of the battle erupted over the barren moons of the sector. Alien ships fired relentlessly, expecting easy kills. Humans responded with precision. Skimmers weaved through the chaos, targeting engines and communication arrays. Human pilots coordinated their movements flawlessly, appearing and disappearing with unpredictable speed. Kieran led one strike team through the thick of the enemy formation. "Focus on their command ships," he shouted. "If we take out their leaders, the rest will falter." Lyra, piloting beside him, nodded. "Copy that. Let's remind them why humans were once legends." The humans' attacks were daring but calculated. They did not simply fire blindly. They studied alien tactics in real time, adapting instantly to every move. When the aliens attempted to flank them, humans anticipated it, redirecting small fleets to intercept and confuse the attackers. The aliens began to realize that the humans were not only surviving, they were controlling the battle. Commander Veyral watched in disbelief from her flagship. How are they doing this? They should be overwhelmed. We have numbers, technology, everything. And yet, her voice trailed off as another human strike disabled one of her lead cruisers. Across the battlefield, humans moved like a single organism. Each ship, skimmer, and soldier knew their role and adjusted to changes instantly. They were faster, smarter, and more adaptable than any alien had anticipated. Every failed assault against humans strengthened their coordination and resolve. Back at the colony, Elder Duran monitored the battle, projecting tactics across multiple systems. "Remember," he said to the young strategists beside him, "the aliens have power, but we have skill. We have courage. And most importantly, we have the will to survive. That is something no technology can match." The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit the void, energy beams tore through shields, and starships twisted and turned in deadly maneuvers. But humans continued to strike strategically, never overextending, always exploiting weaknesses in the alien formations. Their coordination, intelligence, and courage turned what should have been a disaster into a showcase of human ingenuity. Kieran's strike team approached the central command fleet of the aliens, a massive formation of vessels that should have been untouchable. Using a combination of stealth, diversionary tactics, and precise strikes, the humans disabled shields and weapons one by one. Alien commanders were thrown into disarray as their fleets became disorganized and vulnerable. "This is it," Kieran said, gripping the controls tightly. "We push now, and we take control of the battle." With a coordinated surge, humans attacked the central fleet. Explosions erupted across alien command ships, disrupting communications and sending panic through the enemy lines. One by one, alien vessels began to retreat or surrender. The tide of the battle had turned completely. In the aftermath, the humans stood victorious, The massive alien fleet that had hoped to annihilate them was forced to retreat, their confidence shattered. Across the galaxy, word of the humans' victory spread like wildfire. A species once considered extinct had not only survived but had defeated overwhelming odds with intelligence, courage, and ingenuity. Kieran and Lyra watched the retreating alien ships from the Bridge of Resolute. "They underestimated us," Lyra said quietly. "Not anymore," Kieran replied. "The galaxy will remember humans from this day forward. Not as myths, not as legends, but as a force that cannot be ignored." Elder Duran approached, his eyes reflecting both pride and satisfaction. "Humanity has proven what we always knew. Our strength is not in numbers or raw power alone. It is in our mind, our heart, and our courage. We have survived when others thought we could not. And now, the galaxy knows that humans are not to be forgotten." In the days that followed, humans worked to rebuild, strengthen, and expand their influence. Alien civilizations that had once dismissed them now approached with caution, curiosity, and sometimes respect. Humans did not seek domination. They sought acknowledgement, understanding, and the right to exist in the galaxy without fear. Young trainees watched the returning pilots and strategists with awe, understanding that they were witnessing history. Every battle, every strike, every carefully calculated move had demonstrated humanity's ingenuity and courage. Stories of human bravery spread across colonies, inspiring hope and determination in those who had doubted that a species could rise from near extinction to become a force in the galaxy once more. Kieran stood on the observation deck gazing at the stars. "We were thought forgotten," he said softly. "They believed the stories, the myths, and ignored our true potential. But we survived, and we will continue to survive, no matter the odds." Lyra joined him, looking at the glowing ships returning from their missions. "We have shown them what humans can do," she said. "And this is only the beginning. The galaxy will never forget us again." Across the hidden human colonies, Elder Duran addressed the population. "We have reclaimed our place among the stars," he said. "We have shown the galaxy that humans are not myths. We are living, thinking, and courageous. And from this day forward, every civilization will know that humanity cannot be forgotten, cannot be ignored, and cannot be defeated when united by purpose and spirit." The stars above shimmered with the promise of a new era. Human ships glided through space, their lights reflecting hope and determination. The humans had returned, stronger and wiser than ever before. They had endured, adapted, and risen to claim their rightful place in the galaxy. Legends that were once whispered in disbelief were now reality. The humans were no longer myths. They were a living testament to courage, intelligence, and survival. And the galaxy, once blind to their existence, would never forget the fury, ingenuity, and spirit of humanity again. As night fell over distant planets and colonies, the humans rested for a moment, but their minds remained alert. They knew challenges would continue to arise, that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. But they also knew this: humans had survived the impossible before, and they would continue to survive, adapt, and thrive. And somewhere far beyond the stars, alien civilizations whispered, fearful and cautious. They had learned a lesson the hard way: never underestimate humans. Humanity had returned. Legends had been reborn, and the galaxy would never again doubt the strength, courage, or ingenuity of the human race. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter that night, as if celebrating the rebirth of a species that refused to be forgotten. Humanity had risen from myths into reality, and the future of the galaxy would forever be shaped by the humans who had endured, adapted, and triumphed. On the distant world of Virelia, the morning sky was painted in shades of orange and violet. Towering cities glimmered under the twin suns, and massive transport ships drifted through the atmosphere like silent guardians. Commander Thalor stood on the observation deck of Virelia's flagship, the Aurelius, his arms crossed behind his back. He studied the bustling planet below, proud of his civilization's strength, yet unaware of the threads that tied his world to a distant memory, one that had been quietly woven by humans centuries ago. The Varelians were known across the galaxy for their ambition. Their leaders, confident in their technology and culture, believed that no force could challenge them. They were preparing for expansion into neighboring systems, convinced that conquest would cement their place as the dominant civilization in their sector. Yet hidden deep within Varelia's archives, forgotten by most, lay records of a mysterious aid they had received long ago. A gift from a distant, now seemingly vanished species, humans. For generations, those records were treated as curiosities, old tales without relevance. Varelians believed humans had disappeared, leaving no trace except in faint texts and incomplete data files. Thalor, like most of his peers, had never thought much about them. He trusted in Varelia's might and the leadership of the High Council, who preached that strength was earned through power, not remembered debts. Commander Thalor, a voice called behind him. He turned to see Captain Leora approaching, her uniform immaculate, her expression serious. "Captain," he replied. "We've received new intelligence," she said, gesturing to a holographic display that flickered to life. A map of the galaxy appeared, highlighting trade routes and neighboring star systems. "Our scouts report unusual activity near the outer rim. Unidentified vessels have been sighted, moving with precision and speed unlike anything we've cataloged before." Thalor leaned closer, studying the hologram. "Unidentified, you say? How large is this fleet?" 10 ships, Commander. Advanced designs, unlike anything we've seen in Virelia. Our sensors cannot determine the origin." Thalor's brow furrowed. "Prepare the fleet for observation. Keep weapons at standby, but do not engage unless provoked. I want to know who or what we are dealing with before we act." Leora nodded and turned to leave, but hesitated. "Sir, there is something else. Archives showed that these vessels bear similarities to an old human design. If this is true, it could change everything we thought we knew." Thalor froze for a moment, disbelief flickering across his face. "Humans? That ancient species that supposedly vanished? Humans, here, after all this time?" he muttered. Impossible. Yet deep inside, a small seed of curiosity and unease took root. The humans had been remembered in history as helpers, mysterious benefactors who had aided Virelia during a famine centuries ago. Entire cities had been saved by supplies and technology delivered in secret. Varelians had grown strong from that aid, but the humans themselves had disappeared afterward, leaving no contact. Most Varelians dismissed the story as legend. "Prepare a reconnaissance team," Thalor said finally. "I want eyes on those ships immediately. Report every movement, every detail, and keep this quiet. The Council must not know yet." "Yes, Commander," Leora replied, her voice steady but tinged with curiosity. As she left, Thalor returned to the observation deck, his mind racing. He could see Virelia's fleets mobilizing across the planet, gleaming ships rising from the orbital docks. Soldiers and engineers moved with synchronized precision, their movements reflecting centuries of discipline. But Thalor could not shake the thought that something far greater than his people's fleet was approaching. Hours passed, and the alien suns began to set, bathing Virelia in a golden light. The mysterious vessels appeared at the edge of the system, sleek and silent. Unlike the heavy angular ships of Virelia, these vessels had smooth curves, advanced energy shields, and propulsion systems that allowed them to hover effortlessly. The reconnaissance drones confirmed what Leora had suspected. Humans had returned. Thalor's communicator beeped. "Commander, they are broadcasting a signal," Leora said, her voice tense. "It's a message, not an attack." Thalor activated the display. The message appeared, simple yet commanding. "We come in peace. We remember a kindness given long ago. We are here to honor it and offer guidance, not conflict." The words echoed in the command center, leaving the officers speechless. Thalor stared at the message, a mix of awe and confusion gripping him. Humanity and remembered? After all this time, after centuries of silence, they had come not for conquest but to repay a debt. The Council would see this as weakness, he knew. Many of them would call it an opportunity to strike, to subjugate these returning humans before they became a threat. But Thalor felt a different truth. Strength could be found in honor, not only in weapons. Humans had shown kindness once, and now they returned, not with vengeance or greed, but with purpose. Night fell over the capital city. Virelia's twin moons rose, casting silver light across the landscape. Thalor walked among the streets, observing citizens who had no knowledge of the approaching humans. Children laughed and played, oblivious to the tension building in orbit. Merchants continued their trade, and scholars debated new theories in quiet halls. Life went on, unbothered, while history was quietly being rewritten above their heads. Thalor's thoughts returned to the archives. He had read the ancient human logs once, long ago, when he was a young officer studying history. The humans had acted without expectation, giving food, medicine, and technology when Virelia had faced starvation. They had vanished before anyone could thank them, leaving only faint records and mysterious artifacts. Now those humans were here again, and the implications were enormous. What are their intentions? Thalor asked aloud, his voice barely above a whisper. They wish to remind us, a voice replied from behind. It was Leora standing quietly in the doorway. To remind us that kindness is never forgotten, Commander, and that the consequences of our actions, our choices, can echo across centuries. Thalor nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He knew that the coming days would test everything Virelia believed about power, loyalty, and morality. The humans' return was more than a diplomatic event. It was a challenge to the very core of their civilization. As the first signals of communication passed between Virelia and the human fleet, Thalor realized that the galaxy itself was changing, not through war or conquest, but through honor, respect, and remembered kindness. The humans' presence was a silent declaration. Acts of good, even small ones, could shape the future of entire worlds. Thalor turned back to the observation deck, watching the distant ships hover near the system's edge. The night sky was alive with light from both Virelia's cities and the approaching human fleet. Somewhere out there, humanity waited, patient yet powerful, ready to remind the galaxy of a simple truth. No kindness is ever forgotten, and its consequences can be larger than anyone imagines. He felt a mixture of pride, fear, and curiosity. Pride for the civilization he served, fear of the unknown force now in orbit, and curiosity about what the humans' intentions truly were. This was the beginning of a story that would change Virelia forever. A story where past actions reached across time to shape the present, and where a single act of kindness might determine the fate of planets. And so, under the twin moons of Virelia, Commander Thalor prepared for what was to come. He did not know whether the humans were friends or judges, allies or teachers, but he understood one thing clearly. The universe had remembered, and humanity, in its quiet, determined way, had arrived to show that the debt of kindness was not forgotten. Not now, not ever. The first contact had begun, and with it, the galaxy would witness a demonstration of true strength, the power of honor, respect, and remembered kindness.